This is the Lamborghini Sian FKP 37, Lamborghini's first ever hybrid supercar. It's an incredibly exciting step forward for Lamborghini, but it pulls in everything that's made Lamborghini great since 1963. The name FKP 37 is named after Ferdinand Karl Piëch, former head of the Volkswagen Group, who's responsible really for Lamborghini becoming part of Audi and the Volkswagen Group. FKP being his initials, 37 being the year he was born. 63 along the flanks represents the 63 Sians that are going to be made, with 19 Roadsters coming later. 1963 is the year that Lamborghini was established.
Under its skin, the Sian is based on the Aventador SVJ, with the same platform, the same suspension, and the same naturally aspirated 6.5 litre V12 engine, albeit with the addition of some titanium intake valves and a new exhaust that raises the output of the engine from 759 to 774 horsepower. The key difference though is that hybrid system. That adds an electric motor inside the gearbox to bring total output to 808 horsepower. The design of the Sian might feel futuristic even compared to other Lamborghinis, but look carefully and there are references to older cars like the Countach dotted around, from the creases on the bonnet to the triple tail lights at the rear.
One of my favourite touches are these vents here. Now, whereas in a normal car, vents like this, which are designed to let heat out of the engine bay when it gets too warm, would be connected to a heat sensor, which is connected to a computer, which when the engine gets too hot sends a signal to send it back to open these flaps. Instead, this ingenious little self-contained contraption is a spring that when it gets too hot expands and allows these flaps to open, and then when the engine cools it contracts and closes it. This is an entirely self-contained system. That technology of a spring expanding when it's hot and contracting when it's cool is as old as mechanical engineering itself, and it sits within a car that looks like it's been teleported here from the future. And it perfectly represents how this car is taking existing traditional automotive technology and marrying it with absolute cutting-edge developments to create something new.
The interior is slightly understated on the Lamborghini scale, but it includes the updated infotainment screen we first saw on the Huracan Evo.
There's a drama about sitting in a car like this that you get to experience before you even press the start button. Just looking at the thing with its lift-up guard resembling a missile key in a fighter jet, it gives a sense of theatre that's sometimes missed from other manufacturers. Lamborghini isn't always at the cutting edge of other technologies, but for once, all of these modern looking twists and touches and details are now married by what makes this car mechanically stand apart from its competitors. About 8 years ago, when the likes of Ferrari and Porsche and McLaren all developed their first hybrid supercars, Lamborghini was notably absent. It didn't seem like they had any interest in investing in hybrid technology at that time. Now it seems it is the right time, and they have leapt ahead with something that no one else has ever done. Instead of a lithium-ion battery powering this hybrid system, they use a supercapacitor. Cars have always had supercapacitors in one form or another. Most electronics do. But this supercapacitor isn't a small dinky thing. It's the full width of the car. It lives right behind the driver's seat. Now, it's not a big, bulky, heavy system. Being a supercapacitor, it's a lot lighter than a battery. It's a third of the weight and can deliver 3 times the power for the same density as a lithium-ion battery. It only delivers 34 horsepower, but the nature of a supercapacitor is that it can charge incredibly quick under braking, and then it can discharge equally quickly. So imagine a traditional battery to be like an airbed. It takes forever to pump it up completely, but then you can remove the stopper and get a steady stream of air coming out of that thing for quite a while. Now consider a supercapacitor to be like filling a balloon from an air canister. It will inflate like that, and when you get a pin ready and pop it, everything comes out in an instant. That's what the power delivery from the electric motor in this car is.
That quick boost of power is automatically deployed when the throttle is pushed, giving an extra kick of acceleration. Performance-wise, the Sian should be able to get up to 62 miles an hour in around 2.8 seconds and top out near 220 miles an hour. Not massively dissimilar in a straight line compared to the Aventador SVJ, which holds the production car lap record at the Nürburgring. But that electric motor isn't just there to help the Sian off the line.
That supercapacitor can also fill the torque gaps when you're changing gear. The Aventador SVJ's gear changes were, well, they were brutal. It's a 7-speed single clutch gearbox. It's the same gearbox that's in this car. And changing gear meant disconnecting over 700 horsepower and putting it back in. That obviously gives you a bit of a punch. Now this supercapacitor connected to the electric motor which sits inside the gearbox smooths out those gear changes, meaning that you can go up the gear range utterly smoothly despite the fact that this doesn't have a dual clutch system.
Some owners of the SVJ actually enjoyed those brutal gear changes, but smoothing them out gives the Sian a more refined driving style and more stability at high speed. The Sian has all of the same handling characteristics as the SVJ, meaning the immense mechanical grip on offer and the rear wheel steering give you immense confidence to take corners at speed, even in the wet conditions I had. The brakes may now also be funneling power to the supercapacitor, but they still feel natural and highly effective. When you're driving the Sian, what strikes you is how invisible that hybrid system feels, leaving that wonderful sensation of driving a naturally aspirated V12 engine untouched.
Lamborghini has no interest in creating a hybrid system to save the planet, to consume less fuel. No, Lamborghini has made a hybrid system so they can go quicker, they can do it smoother, and you can have more fun. The best thing about the Lamborghini Sian is what it means for Lamborghini's future. You see, other manufacturers, when they've moved into hybrid systems using lithium-ion batteries, it feels like it's a stepping stone towards full electrification. And Lamborghini will undoubtedly be planning towards an electrified future. However, when you think about it, Lamborghini used the same V12 all the way from the 60s through to relatively recently. This V12 is only the second generation V12 the company has ever made. When they invest in the technology of a V12 engine, they want to be able to use that for a long, long time. And now with governments bringing legislation that are going to put a halt to petrol-only cars, well, they have to look at alternatives. By building a hybrid system that technically is a hybrid system, it allows you to build V12 engines for that much longer. So the Lamborghini Sian is an indication of how Lamborghini could use hybrid technology to extend the life of naturally aspirated V12's engine for ages to come. So the end result of the Lamborghini Sian is this mash of a completely traditional, some might even say outdated idea of a naturally aspirated V12 engine, married with a hybrid system that's beyond anything anyone else has put in a car. And you get the wonderful combination of past and future to create something that's going to guarantee that we get to enjoy cars that sound like this for years to come.
At between $2 and $3 million, we won't be seeing many Sians on the road, but it's my hope that this hybrid technology will filter down to more affordable Lamborghinis in future. In an age of endless bad news though, the Sian heralds hope for the survival of the V12, for which we can all be grateful.